Ultimate Collectibles here, doing our second review of today. It's becoming a little bit addicting. It may be the gateway to something else, so I'm a little worried about that. We're going to mix it up, not just do customs, but today we're going to do Sideshow Magneto. You know, growing up I called it Magneto, but I think now it's Magneto. I'm not sure. The Master of Magnetism, Sideshow Maquette. Master of Magneto, the Master of Magnetism. Yep, that's what we're doing. This is the Magneto Sideshow Maquette. This piece I PO'd quite a while ago because I'm a big Magneto fan. He's probably one of my favorite villains, and I know I say that in every review, but I only buy statues I like. He is not the best Magneto out there. He didn't look it then, he doesn't look it now. I have quite a few Magnetos on order, and then I have 2 custom pieces currently, which I will be reviewing. But I wanted to get this one to kind of see what it looks like, and it retailed for about $7.50 I think, plus shipping, and I got some kind of discount on it. And I was really unsure as everyone was kind of bashing the pictures, and it didn't seem like a lot of people were buying, but I think one rule with statue collecting is you always wait till you see it in hand. So it was delivered about a month ago or so. Came in one box. It's typical Sideshow packaging with foam and the base. Magneto himself, his gloves come off. He has 2 portrait heads, the one that I'm always going to display it with, and then he has the mast head, this one right here. It is a fabric mixed media cape, which there's a lot of hate for those. I do like sculpted better, but I don't find these too horrible. I have a few other pieces with that as well. And then the base came in, and the base has quite a few removable parts as well, which took a little bit of time, but they do color coding and make it really easy to put it together. Magneto himself actually attaches right on the back, so it appears that he's levitating. So concept and design. Everybody and their mom right now is coming out with X-Men and X-Men villains with Sentinel bases. And it's actually kind of pissing me off because they're all inconsistent. Even within the same company, sometimes it's inconsistent. So for example, the Wolverine Sideshow Premium format, the Sentinel hand is a completely different color than Magneto's Sentinel base, which is just stupid if you ask me. And the other difference besides the color is the style and the size. So there's a lot of inconsistency with that, and I also have a Magneto with a huge hand, that the hand's bigger than this whole statue. But you're going to have to mix and match depending on which companies you buy, and I think that's just what we're going to have to be settled with, and I don't think it's going to be that big of a deal. So Magneto has destroyed the Sentinel head with his powers, to manipulate metal and metallic fields. He has completely crushed it. He is sitting above it. He's levitating with his hand out in the air. He could be crushing another enemy that's coming towards him, or maybe he's crushing the Sentinel head underneath, or maybe he's trying to grab a little something. I don't know. His portrait, I think, is spot on, the unmasked one. It shows his confidence that he is the man. He's a high-level class mutant. I love the concept and design. It's not original. I have quite a few other Magneto statues coming with this. I actually have some that are very similar right now, which I'll do reviews on later. So Sculpt. First of all, ironically, I love the top and the bottom. The middle, not so much. We're going to talk about that. Starting at the bottom, though, I think they did a great job with this. This is kind of, to me, the comic Sentinel from the comics, and I love how they manipulated it and started pulling it out. There's everything from rivets and where his face was supposed to be, and different aspects all over. It really looks like that he's used his powers to completely rip that apart. You can see the eye and the nose and the mouth of the Sentinel still there. This really makes the piece. It has wires sticking out. You can see some of the metal being drained in from the paint, where he's like withdrawing the metal from it. I just love how this is done. I love how they attached his leg to the back so he's floating again. It's not an original concept. Quite a few people have done this. But moving up, I think the boots are okay. I've seen much better, but for a mass-produced piece, not too bad. Going into his legs and torso and his belt, at first I wasn't a huge fan of this, and to be honest with you, I'm still not, because there's not a lot of definition and not a lot of musculature. I'm not going to talk about his package, but realistically, I don't think Magneto's that muscular of a guy. He doesn't need to be. I mean, anything heavy, he doesn't have to lift with his muscles. So I think that's probably pretty accurate as far as the sculpt. I just don't like it. His hands, I think they did a very good job on those. There's a lot of layers to his hands. There's a lot of detail in those. And then moving up to his cape. So mixed media fabric cape gets a lot of hate. I think they're okay. I like sculpted a lot better, but I do like the opportunity. You can put it in any pose. One of the things I've found personally is it seems like any pose looks good. So that's kind of interesting. Then moving up to his portrait, this is his unmasked portrait. This is where I think they did an awesome job. From the hair on the back, it just looks great. I love the definition in his cheekbones, his lips, his eyes I think are absolutely perfect. I think they did a really, really good job, and as I said in the background information section, I am only displaying with this one. I actually had to dig the unmasked portrait out of the box. I don't even keep it with my switch outs because I'm never ever going to use it. So I think Sculpt, they didn't do bad. I think they did a very good job on the base. I think they did an amazing job on his head. There's a lot left in the middle. And what's ironic is we're going to talk about paint next. It's almost the same exact story. So as I said with paint, I love what they did with the Sentinel head. There's blacks, there's grays, there's coppers. There's a lot of what you would think in a metal robot. A little bit different shading in different parts. They have the wire coming out, and some of the other parts they have blue, which is similar to Wolverine's hand, so maybe that's what they were trying to do. Then most of it purple. As we know, the classic Sentinel is purple, and the face is that beige skin tone color. I think they did a really good job, not only with the colors in it, but kind of what goes where and mixing it really well, so it looks like a destroyed Sentinel head. On Magneto, I think this is where it's a big flop. I think they did a horrible job painting him. It looks stupid, it looks dull. I mean, I know it's purple and red, and there are a few other shades in there as well. Some darker blacks, not darker blacks. You can't get darker than black. There's some black that's mixed in there as well. But his body, boots, belt, glove, I think very basic paint job, nothing to write home about. It's not for me. And then lastly, his portrait. This is where I swear they had different companies working on his body than they did his head. The unmasked portrait, the paint is phenomenal. The skin tones, the gray hair, the black and the gray hair, where you can tell the different strands, I think it's done very, very well. His lips, his eyes, very well done, especially for such a mass-produced piece. The unmasked portrait, I think the color of the helmet here, it just sucks. To me, it should be a little shinier. I understand he's probably not clean, especially after fighting a Sentinel. I think it looks stupid. So one of the reasons I'm never going to display it. Overall, I would say the jury's still out. I think it's a cool piece. I would buy it if I didn't have a lot of other funds or I wasn't part of a lot of custom groups. As I said, there's a lot of custom pieces out there that are much better than this, and there's a lot more that are coming that are much better than this. I'm probably going to keep it because I love the Sentinel head and I love the portrait. I think it's going to be overpowered by all the other Magnetos, but I think it's a good solid piece, especially if you're doing the whole Sideshow X-Men line. I would recommend it based off of that, but if you can get over the torso and some of the sculpt and paint issues, then I think you'll be a fan of this piece. So let's measure it here. So from top to bottom, he's right at 25 inches, give or take. And for depth, about 16 or so, and I'm imagining the width is about 14, right in there, even less, about a little less than 13. And just so you know, my measurements aren't exact, because I really don't care. I'll figure out how to display it. So those are my final thoughts on Magneto. I appreciate you watching. If you liked it, click like, hit a comment. I'm not doing this for the money, but I would like to share my passion with other people. And then make sure you subscribe. Magneto, out.